Hi, this is Happy Bird from happybirdsglitternest.blogspot.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful shabby chic ornament for your Christmas tree. And I have a free pattern for you as well, and this is the back, like that. I bought this beautiful trim from a Chinese seller for very inexpensive, and the lace was purchased here in the USA, but it was very cheap as well. I got it on eBay, and I'll give you links to all of that down below in the drop down bar where it says show more, as well as on my blog. And I just used some eyelash yarn for the ribbon and a little key, a little rose, of course the beautiful glitter glass, or glass glitter. I always say that backwards. And I paid $2 and something cents for this beautiful stretch lace. They call it grape, the color. That's what I used on the heart. And this is they call this cherry red stretch lace. And I'll make a heart off camera and show it to you at the end. I thought that was really pretty. I don't know if you can see how bright it is, because it doesn't look too bright when I'm looking in the little camera viewer thing. So I'm hoping it picks it up, but it's really a bright cherry red and white. Okay, so I will make sure to include all the links below in the drop down bar that says show more, as well as my blog. So we'll get started, and I'll show you how to make this beautiful little heart. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some stiff white felt. And you can buy this at any craft store that has a felt section. They come in rectangles, just like the rectangular sheets of felt do. And I bought this at Michael's. Now, it has a little sparkle on one side, and that's fine. You can buy it like that because it's going to be covered anyway. The only thing you want to avoid is you don't want the self-adhesive kind where you pull the back off the piece of paper and it's sticky on one side. Don't get that. Just get the plain stiff white felt. Okay, now I also made a pattern for you that's free, and I'll put the link in the show more drop down bar below, as well as on my blog. And these are just little hearts that you print out. There's 6 to a page. You can tell I already cut a couple out at the top. So that's for you. And then what I would suggest is, with one of those patterns, make yourself a cardboard heart. That way you can just lay it right on the stiff felt and trace around it with a mechanical pencil. And I really love the mechanical pencils because they get right in there close to the edge. Okay? And it's very easy to cut this stiff felt. And that's another thing I like about it. So, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be making a skin on your heart. And I showed you this when we made our butterflies. We took the Americana triple thick that also comes in the big jars like this. And of course, you just squirt it on quite a bit, because we want a skin that will soak in and dry so we can put a second skin on and attach the lace and the glitter without all of the gluey stuff on top soaking in, if that makes sense. And you notice I'm doing this with a brush today and a toothpick, not my fingers. I've had a few people ask me why I use my fingers. So this is just for you guys today. So I have a little tabletop fan, and I'm going to put it on low and set this underneath, and I'm going to let it dry for about 6 hours. And although it will feel completely dry and hard, it's really kind of amazing, because if you leave it set for a couple more days, it'll even become harder and harder and harder until it's really stiff. So not that you have to do that with this portion of it, but when you're completely finished with a heart, I can tell you there's a big difference 2 or 3 days later as far as the hardness. So I'm going to set this out in front of my fan, and I'm going to allow it to dry for about 6 hours. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the exact same process on the back, okay? And then I'll show you where we go from there. Okay, so I put the skin on both sides, and as you can tell, it's nice and hard. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on another layer of the triple thick, and this time we're going to be gluing the lace down. So I'm going to put a fairly good amount on, just like I did before, and I'm going to brush it around, making sure I get the corners and the edges. Like so. Make sure that's spread all around. Okay. Then I'm going to be using this beautiful grape colored lace, and once again I'll have the link for this down below in the drop down bar, the show more drop down bar, as well as on my blog. Okay, so I cut a little piece already, and there's a shinier side on the front, so that's what I'm going to use. I think I'm going to go up a little bit, so I really want the pattern of the lace to show. I think it would be really pretty. Okay. Now, what I like to do is I like to take a piece of the stiff felt and pat the top. Let me do that for you quickly. Let me get a piece of the stiff felt. For some reason, it doesn't seem to stick to it like it does your fingers if you use your fingers to pat it down. This is what I spoke too soon. It did stick a little. Sorry about that. Maybe because I put a little more on. Well, that's okay. Well, now it's doing better. Okay, see, that's how it was doing for me originally. Alright, and I just kind of press it down. Now, I'm going to allow this to dry. I'm going to put it on in front of my fan on low, and I'm going to allow this to dry completely. And then when it's dried, I'm going to come back and cut around the edges, and I'm going to put one final little coat of gloss on the top, and then we're going to add our German glass glitter, and this is going to really look pretty on this ornament. And then of course after that we'll place the trim and whatnot around the edges. So for now we're just going to allow this to dry. And by the way, I do have a link to where you can buy this medium grit glitter glass, or glass glitter. I always get that mixed up. And I'll also include that in the show more drop down bar below, as well as my blog. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this in front of my fan to dry, and I'll be back. Okay, so as you can tell, this is dried. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to cut the lace. It's a lot easier to see that way. Let me put my camera up a little bit so I can hold this up. And I'm going to start by just laying my scissors against the edge here and cutting, and I'm using my small scissors, and I'm just going to cut that off like that. In fact, I'm just going to cut most of it off, doing a rough cut all the way around, and that way I can focus on the details. Okay, so I cut that stuff off. So now I just have a little bit left to cut around the edge. It's just easier for me that way. Okay, and so I'm just going to finish up the rough parts of the edge right here. And you might have to go in a couple of times to do that around the edge, and that's fine. I'm going to get a different pair of scissors to see if I can cut this little bit out of here. Doesn't need much, just a little. And I'm not finished yet. Okay. Maybe around the edge here. Just do the best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but try to come close to it. Alright. I think it's starting to shape up now. Alright. Okay, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? From the back. So this is the front, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a coat of triple thick on here to make a glaze on the top, and then we're going to add a little German glass glitter, the clear German glass glitter in the medium grit, and I will post a link, like I said, in my Show More drop down bar below this video, as well as on my blog. And so I'm going to take my toothpick here and just kind of pour this on the top like so, and I'm going to move it around with my brush, and I'm using this e.l.f. makeup brush or foundation brush that I bought from the Dollar Tree. I really like the way this rinses out. So I have a little excess here, so I'm just going to wipe it on the paper towel. I got a little wild with that, this last coat. And when it dries, it'll be really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this medium grit German glass glitter and just going to put this up fairly high, it may be about 5 inches, and just kind of shake it all over like so. So now I'm going to set this in front of the fan to dry, and once that glaze hardens up, and it'll become a lot more clear and glossy, and I'm just kind of pushing around the edges because I just want to make sure there's not any glass glitter sticking out. Oh, something important I almost forgot to show you. Take your piece of stiff felt and press the glitter down just like this because you want that glitter flat, okay? And the reason being is, number one, it will adhere so much better and you won't have any glass glitter falling off. But also because when you go to put that trim around the edges, you want it fairly flat surface, okay? So I'm going to go ahead right now and put it in front of the fan, and then I'll be back to show you the rest. Okay, so now this is completely dry. So what I'm going to do is flip it over on the back, and I'm just going to sprinkle the back with some cheaper glitter. This is by Creatology, and it's called Iridescent. It's really pretty. And the cap is off because that was kind of messed up. The cap was when I bought it and I didn't realize it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some of the triple thick, and I'm going to be generous with it on the back. Spread it out with my brush here all over. Okay, and so now I'm going to sprinkle all of this on top. Just going to be generous with it. And whatever's left, I'll put back into the bottle. Okay, so now I'm coming in with my stiff felt again. I'm sorry, my dog's kind of walking around all over my bed and you can hear creaking. Okay. I'm just going to press this in, and let's see, it's my toothpick. I'm going to lift it up and just going to tap it in like so. More glitter on the side. Okay. All the way around, just kind of push it in, glitter. So it'll be like that. Turn it over, like so. Okay. So now I'm going to place this right under my fan on low, and when this is thoroughly dried, we'll flip it back over and finish the heart off. Okay? So let this dry and I'll be back. Okay everyone, so the front of the heart of course is finished, and so is the back. That. It's nice and hard, but it will harden even more so within the next 2 or 3 days. So the next thing that I'm going to do on this is I'm going to place a trim around here. And I bought a whole yard of this beautiful trim from my favorite seller on eBay. Well, I should say my favorite seller who sells this type of stuff. And in fact, I recently ordered some more the other day, and it was $2.90 for the yard, free shipping. And it generally takes about 3 weeks to get here, sometimes 3.5. But it depends on where you live in the United States. Now, one thing I noticed is when I go to the seller's website and I type in the little search bar where it says search the store, when I type in pearl trim or rhinestone trim or anything like that, sometimes he'll have 2 or 3 of the same item listed, but at different prices. I did that when I ordered this trim the last time, and he had one in there for $2.90 a yard plus free shipping, And then he had a different picture, but it was the same exact trim, and it was 99-cent shipping or something like that, and by the time you added it up, it was about $4. So that was roughly $1 difference, and it was the exact same trim. So when you go to his website, just be aware of that and kind of look to see if there's a second one listed. So this is what it looks like from the front. This is what it looks like from the back. And it's very flexible, which I like. Now if you decide, now of course this seller isn't the only seller on eBay that sells trims. If you go in and type in the words pearl trim or rhinestone trim, you'll come up with a lot of really pretty selections, but you have to watch and make sure that they're very flexible, because as you glue them around the heart, you want that to be flexible so you can make some bends and curves, and especially in this area here. Okay, so I'm going to start, and as you can tell, this is cut here, so part of the beads may fall off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this first part right here on the edge, and I'm going to leave a little bit hanging over the edge that I can just cut off with my scissors once I glue this on. Okay, so my glue gun just up and died on me today, so I'm borrowing my daughter-in-law's until I can get another glue gun. And she had a Sure Bonder, and this is just a regular hot glue gun, and I really like the nozzle because you can do detail work with it. So I might even buy one just like this. I noticed they had them on eBay. I told my daughter-in-law, how did you get such a good glue gun? You're not even a crafter. You had a better one than I did. Okay, so I'm just kind of putting that around like that, and now you kind of understand why you need it to be a little flexible. And I'm just doing small portions at a time. Don't you know, put glue all the way around and then try to do this. Gotta press down as you go along, like so. Make sure it's hanging just slightly over the edge, because if you don't, then you'll be able to see the back, or you'll be able to see a little purple along the edge here. So I'm doing it just ever so slightly over the edge. And I just love this, though, this glue gun, because it just makes little tiny lines of glue. Kind of bend this on around. Like so. Isn't that pretty? Look how rich it looks around here. I just love this trim. And I have ordered this trim several times, but I've never used it for any projects on YouTube. So this is my first one using this. Right up to here. Now I'm going to press this down. I'm going to let this dry just for a second and come in with my scissors. And once you cut this, you can always put tape right at the end here, just to save more beads from falling off. You'll see what I mean. See how it kind of falls off there? You can just put tape there. Okay. So now I can just cut this off like so. Alright. These scissors are really bad. I have to get some that cut. I ruined these, but I'm not sure how. Ah, these are awful. My Dollar Tree scissors here work better. Oh my gosh, I'm out of frame. I hope I wasn't out of frame the whole time. Okay. Now let's see the end here. Okay. I might pull these strings and then cut them. And if you have to add a pearl just to kind of cover things up at the tip, then go ahead and do that. Which I'm going to do. And it's awesome because I have this little glue gun here to do it. So I think I'm going to take this pearl that fell off. I'm going to put it right here. And then maybe cut that one off. Yeah. That looks a little better. So just play with it. And these are just strings at the top. So I'm going to see if I can cut those off. Yeah. Hey, these are pretty good scissors. For $1, I found these at the Dollar Tree in the beauty section. These are supposed to be scissors to cut hair, but these actually do a pretty good job. Okay. I think it looks pretty nice. Just take your time with it. I know I'm taking a long time on this video. I should edit this part. But I'll probably end up leaving it in. Just fast forward if you get tired of watching it. Okay, so I know I took a while on that. Okay, so I thought it looked very pretty, very rich looking. Like that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a key. And you can go to eBay and type in the words mixed keychain, not keychains, mixed keys, mixed key charms. And I'm probably going to put it right about here. I was going to put a few of the 10mm roses, but I don't want to cover up all the beauty of this lace and everything, so I'm thinking I'll probably leave the roses off. Maybe just put one rose right here at the tip of the key, because I don't want to mess that part up. And these little roses are about 10mm. Maybe a little, yeah, about 10mm. Okay, so take some E6000. I'm just going to put just the tiniest amount. It doesn't need a lot. And this E6000 dries clear. This particular one, it says clear on it. So I'm just going to put this in the corner here, and one of the roses on the top. Let me close this up because the glue gun will do for the rose. So I'm just going to add it right here at the top, the keychain like that. And I'm going to put a fairly large bail in the back, and I'll give you the link to the bails as well. Now mind you, all those links will be in the Show More drop down bar below the video and on my blog. I always get questions, but I want you to know that I always post the links. So okay, and with the bail, see, this is a larger one. I'm going to put a combination of a little bit of E6000 and then just the tiniest amount of hot glue, and that's just to hold it on while the E6000 dries. Just a little bit here. Make it nice and straight. And I'm going to put a beautiful little ribbon here, probably a purple one. So I'm going to wait for this to dry first, and then I'll come back with the purple ribbon in there and I'll show you the end results. And I'm going to pick off some of these little stringy things that the hot glue gun left. Okay, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so in place of purple ribbon, I'm going to use something that looks a little more angelic. Metallic eyelash yarn. I think it'll look really pretty. And it really sparkles. I hope it doesn't turn out dark looking, because it isn't dark, but I told you that sometimes you can't help it with the filming. The silver sometimes turns out that way, as well as the gold. So I'm just slipping a length of this eyelash yarn through here, and I'm just tying an overhand knot right here. That, and then I'm cutting it about here. And let me pull this up a little bit so I can show it to you. There we go. So I think it turned out really pretty. I hope you like it. So I made a similar heart with a red, but I wasn't as thrilled with it. I used the rhinestone chain on this one, but this was very difficult to keep straight as I went around. This is much better, I think. And I put 3 little 10mm roses. I didn't put anything here, but I'll end up putting the eyelash yarn on this one too. But I just wanted to show you that. So if you would like some of this glitter glass, this exact glitter glass, you can contact Debbie, and I'll give you her link, like I said, below in the Show More drop down bar as well as on my blog. And her business is Sugar Camp Cottage, and that's her email address right there. It's $2.99 a bag for the medium glitter, and it has a very small shipping charge. And one thing I like about buying glitter from her is not only is it beautiful, but it's also quick. I always get my glitter in about a week's time or less, and she's very dependable, and the shipping is fantastic because she only charges a quarter more for each bag that you order. And she sent me some free samples, and this is some beautiful blue mica flakes. I don't know if you can see that. It's really pretty. And she sent this German glass glitter. This is in the 40 grit, and it's pink. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And she also has some 2mm Aurora Borealis micro beads. Those are really pretty. And I thought this was pretty. This is an 80 grit sapphire German glass glitter. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course the medium grit clear glass glitter that I buy from her is beautiful as well. So I just wanted to show you that, and that's about it. And I know I took a little bit longer on this video, but I thank you guys very much for sticking with me. And oh, I have to brush that off. And take care of yourself, and God bless you, each and every one of you. Bye-bye.